everyone, and welcome to War Club's YouTube channel. Now, as always, if you are new around here and you like and enjoy what you're watching, then please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to grow this channel further. Now, anyone who usually watches War Club's videos will know that I'm extremely passionate and love Newcastle United, but I'm brand new to creating content. But the whole reason why I wanted to get started was to try and offer something a little bit different that's currently out there under the blanket of Newcastle content creators and kind of the topics in which they cover. Now, I didn't really want to be talking all the time about my opinions of who I thought had a good game or who we needed to sell and so on, but more so focus on the stats, match info, betting odds, basically facts, not flannel. However, because of what has gone on over the last few days, weeks and months at Newcastle United, I felt the need to kind of switch things up slightly and talk about how I see the club moving forward. Now, as we all are aware, there have been major changes behind the scenes in recent times for Newcastle, and I would suspect have had a major impact on the club as a whole. Now, both Amanda and Merhdad have left the club in somewhat a bowl out of the blue, and the departing Dan Ashworth was replaced as sporting director by Paul Mitchell. Now, these are huge structural changes in the upper hierarchy, and is bound to have played a major part in our disaster of a summer transfer window. Now, I'm not suggesting these are the people to blame, but I believe the difficult situation trying to recruit new players was made much harder by having to do so under new guidance and systems. So I guess from this, the most logical question to ask next then is how did Newcastle move forward in order to reach the heights in which we as supporters want and expect? The first thing for me is securing Eddie Howe to this football club. Now, I get no one man or player is bigger than the club, but Eddie is a fundamental piece in building for a brighter future. You know, the man's class act both on the touchline and dealing with the media. He also gets the club as a whole, understands what we as supporters want and expect. Now, there's obviously huge speculation circulating currently about the vacant England manager's role, and Eddie's name's constantly touted for that, but I'd be bitterly disappointed if he left. Now, I've read the reports of some Toon fans thinking Eddie's taking the club as far as he can and his loyalty to certain players is having a negative impact on the team's performance. But to me, this is just complete and utter nonsense. I think that faith and loyalty he shows allows players to go out there with less fear and confidence to give everything they have for the cause. I mean, just think when you're at work or in school and your manager or teacher has true belief in your abilities, you're much more eager to reciprocate those feelings and offer more back yourself. Now, in terms of Eddie, I truly believe if we can offer him the tools, not only will he end the trophy-bound spell of the nigh on last 50 years, but we'll be able to look back on his legacy and think, wow. Now, adjacent to this point, it's imperative that the manager of this football club maintains control of the team as a whole. Now, I get the game's evolved and we now have sporting directors and other roles that impact on recruiting and infrastructure, but the bottom line on the team selection, tactics, player recruitment, etc. has to come from the manager. He has to be given total control of who he wants in regards to his squad and then can be judged on his ability to coach and manage. Yes, I understand they have to work under the parameters of funding and budgets, but they should be the ones selecting the targets, and it's then the responsibility of the other board members to get the deal across the line. Now, speaking of other members of the club, that's got to be the next point. Communication from the club itself. Now, we all remember the dark days of the Ashley regime, where us supporters were kept in the dark with almost all activities within the club, and it's paramount we don't go back to this. One of the reasons I was saddened with Amanda Staveley leaving was not just because of who and what she'd done for us, but the loss of a mouthpiece who would come out and communicate with fans, express our passion, and ultimately inform us to the lay of the land, so to speak. Now, it remains to be seen if the likes of Paul Mitchell or Darren Eales are going to take this on further, or whether or not we get much communication going forwards. But for me, keeping the fans in the loop whilst explaining the reasons behind certain actions isn't a hard or an unreasonable ask. You know, at least then we all know where we stand and the avenues to go down moving forward. Now, the next point of interest is you really got to look at the rules and regulations that Newcastle United are constrained by and ultimately have to stick to, most notably FFP and the profit and sustainability rules introduced by the league systems. Now, in essence, I get why they were introduced, but they seem to be completely unfit for purpose. I mean, honestly, I think these rules need to be ripped up and started again from scratch. Now, I've always come from the camp of, clubs need to be protected from owners who are happy to saddle the clubs with debt or run them into the ground, but never, and I mean never, should they have been prevented from spending personal cash in order to grow and attempt to challenge those that are current champions or cup winners. Surely a document that is signed by the owner to show that it's their personal money being used in order to purchase said player could suffice. And if there was a loss made, then they would have to take that on themselves. Surely that's not too hard to do. It just remains to be seen as to whether the Premier League would stand up and actually do something about this. Now, until the rules and systems are changed, we're kind of forced to ask ourselves, how do we then grow then within our means and within the boundaries of the league rules? Now, for me, I'd rather try and take a slower approach and try and slowly add and build the team rather than sell one of our crown jewels like Isak or Bruno and reinvesting the money back into several other players in the hope that they work out. Now, surely we have to build a team around our key players if we harbour any real ambition to try and win something. Now, I'm also a big believer in trying to redevelop St James's Park rather than moving to a brand new build. I guess at heart, I'm a sentimentalist, and I'd hate to walk away from all the history and personal memories of attending so many games with both friends and family at the Cathedral on the Hill. But don't get us wrong, if we were to move to a new venue and we love Newcastle would remain, and I'd still be in the crowd rowing the boys on, it's just I hold St James's Park in such high regard and feel moving to increase revenue means we lose a little bit more than what we gain in terms of history and nostalgia. Now, the last thing I feel we need to probably just look at is the long-term sustainability of the club. And by this, I refer to the club being successful over a sustained period rather than sort of peaks and troughs. Now, success to me will be pushing for European football on a regular basis, as well as going deep in all cup competitions. I clamour like most Newcastle supporters to finally see us actually win some silverware, but I don't want it just to stop there. I don't want to just say let's win the League Cup and then have to wait, say, another 50 odd years to see us actually win something. Maybe I'm just a little bit of a dreamer, but I genuinely believe that if we are to get everything right at this football club, then there are no limitations, nothing's off limits, and it could finally be our turn to dominate English football. Now, as always, thank you for watching. Please let us know in the comments below how you think Newcastle can best move forward after everything that's gone on recently. And as always, if you have enjoyed what you watched, then please click on that subscribe button, as it really does make a huge, huge difference. So until next time, please take care, and I will be back next when Newcastle travel to Wolves on Sunday, back in the Premier League.